Hi, I'm Daniel Roth. I'm the executive editor of LinkedIn. We're pleased to have with us today Sir Martin Sorrell. Sir Martin is the CEO of WPP, the $17 billion ad giant. He's a leading thinker in the world of advertising and also on the state of the economy. Sir Martin,
don't know about that, but we'll give it a whirl and see whether I live up to an eighth of what you just said.
Perfect. As long as the 1/8 is great, that's all that matters. Thanks for coming here today and being with us. Cannes is coming up. You're going to be there. I want to talk a little bit about the state of advertising. One of the things you've written about in the past is this idea of mapsmen versus madmen.
Right.
Is what is the role of creativity in an increasingly data-driven business? You look at something like American Express saying they want to move all of their ad buying to programmatic.
Right.
And I'm curious, what is the role of not just creativity in terms of creative ads, but in creativity in terms of putting together interesting deals and finding ways to do things beyond just buying Google ads or ads on different networks?
So actually, interestingly, Cannes, which is the sort of Oscars of the advertising industry, this year for the first time will be including awards for data and data visualization in addition to healthcare. So Cannes is sort of expanding into areas which Don Draper wouldn't recognize. In fact, there's about 3/4 of our business in digital media planning and buying and data. So of our 18 billion projected $19 billion of revenues for this year, 3/4 of it is stuff that Don Draper in the 60s wouldn't have known of. So this balance of madmen, mathmen, of art and science, left brain, right brain, is really very important, and we have to understand it applies across the board. So everybody inside the organization can be creative in different ways. Programmatic buying will become more important. You mentioned American Express, which is very important to us, important client of WPP, and that's a very good example of a company that's been extremely sophisticated in the online area and the development of data and the application of technology to their business in financial services. In fact, the financial services companies tend to be amongst the most sophisticated in the use of online and digital, and John Hayes, who's the CMO of Amex, has been in the forefront, along with Ken Chenault, the CEO, of building their reputation online, not just in programmatic buying, but in understanding the importance of targeting. That's creativity. That is not because it's not about a 30-second TV ad. That doesn't mean that that's not highly creative and on the forefront, cutting edge. We want to do the best. That's why we call it media investment management. That's why we call it data investment management. It's the holy grail. How much should our clients be investing? So having a strong CEO and CMO is vitally important, and our best relationships are when a CEO has a clear vision and the CMO shares that vision and is given the power to implement it and indeed enforce it.
You've mentioned a couple times the idea of horizontality.
Terrible word.
It's a great word. It's a word that just rolls off your tongue. I assume in
means
UK,
everyone in our organization is lying flat.
You've got 170,000 people,
right?
2,400 offices, 110 countries, and one of the charges you've said is you want these people to start working together much more closely.
Yes.
That's a difficult request to make of even people who work on the same floor together.
Yes.
How do you pull off this idea of making horizontality more than just a great
Well, we haven't
phrase,
pulled it off.
word.
I wish I could say that we pulled it off. I think we're getting better at it, and I think we're better than POG or the putated POG or the failed POG or the dead POG and others. And I think the reason is that we've been very clear that for these, some people, I hate it when they call it a conglomerate because I think we're a relatively focused advertising and marketing services company. But for one and one to be more than two, we have to get value. Value for our clients and value for our people. Our clients because we'll be more effective and more efficient, and for our people because they will learn more by interacting with people inside the company. So this is really important to proving the model and to being more effective at what we do. So we have two integrators. One is the client leaders. We have 41 client leaders now for our top 41 clients, which is about 6 billion out of the 18 or 19 billion of revenue.
These are client leaders around the world.
These are client leaders who are responsible in theory, because making it happen in practice is not easy, for the whole of our client relationship. Our biggest client is Ford Motor Company, our second biggest client is Unilever, our third biggest client is Procter & Gamble. So, but the top 41 and 35,000 people of the 175,000 people in the company work on those 41 accounts. So it's getting people to think about it horizontally, about how we can link and leverage it. And then that's at the global level. At the country level, it's impossible for me sitting in London or New York to know, or our chief talent officer or our chief financial officer to know, or our chief digital officer or strategy officer to know what is going on in 110 countries. So at a local level, we've created now in 30 countries or zones out of the 110 that we operate in, country managers, who are back to the country manager system, who have no authority. The verticals are still in control, no authority, but they work on 3 areas, and they have the responsibility for getting our people to work together and for us to have the best people, identifying local companies in each of the countries that we should be working with, not just the multinationals and the regionals, and last but not least that we identify the best acquisitions. I'm convinced that this is the best structure. The other thing I would say is this: the reason it's so difficult is the better the people, the more difficult it is to get people to work together. Good people are opinionated, they're iconic, they've been successful, so they know what's right and what's wrong, and it's very difficult sometimes finding good people, excellent people who are cooperative is very difficult. You find average people are cooperative is a very difficult and dangerous thing to say, because if you say that the only people who are cooperative are the good people, the average people, you say they're difficult, average people think that to be good they have to be difficult, so it defeats the purpose. But really it is difficult. And managing our business at the end of the day, the real acid test is whether you can manage very strong people who have very strong track records, and I have to admit it's very difficult.
That's great. Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Good. Thank you, Dan.